All right, today we're diving into something pretty fascinating. We're looking at which foreign languages are the most popular in schools across Maharashtra, one of India's biggest states. Now, you probably have some guesses, but let me tell you, the official data for 2025 tells a really surprising story, with some winners you just won't see coming.
So, let's just get right to it. Here's the big question for you. Among students in their final year of high school, their senior year, what do you think is the #1 most popular foreign language? Go ahead, take a guess.
You're probably thinking of the usual suspects, right? French, for all that cultural coolness. Maybe German, for those solid engineering and job prospects. Or maybe even Arabic, which has such deep roots in the region. And yeah, those are all good guesses, but as you can kind of see here, the real winner is something else entirely.
Okay, to really understand the whole picture, we've got to start with the younger students first. Let's look at the choices of 10th graders, the ones taking their big SSC exams. This is a huge milestone in their education, and their choices here are really revealing.
And wow, right off the bat, the results are just staggering. For these younger students, it's not even a competition. Arabic is the absolute undisputed champion. It's chosen by 66% of all students. That's almost 2/3. It leaves everything else, like French and German, way, way behind in the dust.
And when you look at the raw numbers, it really drives the point home. Over 11,000 students chose Arabic. Compare that to just over 3,000 for French and barely 2,000 for German. The preference here is just massive. It's a landslide.
And here's where we get our first really quirky finding from the data. In 2 entire districts, Kolhapur and Konkan, the number of students who signed up for any foreign language was 0. Not a single one. It looks like some places are just not on the foreign language bandwagon at all. Just keep that little fact in mind.
So that's grade 10. But stick with me, because now we're moving on to the older students in grade 12, the ones taking their HSC exams. And this is where the story you think you know gets completely flipped on its head.
So we just saw how Arabic is the absolute king in grade 10. You'd think it would just cruise to victory with the older students too, right? Well, the answer is a big fat no. The top spot is taken by a completely different language.
And we're not talking about a small shift here. This is a total reshuffle. It's a complete upset. A language that was barely even on the chart in 10th grade comes roaring from the back of the pack to take the lead.
Here's the number that won it all, 5,358 students. But for which language? Persian! Can you believe it? Persian, with 5,358 students. It went from last place in grade 10 to become the new champion. And this chart just shows it perfectly. It was a total photo finish. The top 3 languages are separated by less than 200 students. It's an incredibly tight race.
Okay, so what in the world is happening here? An upset this big just makes you ask, why? Why does this huge shift happen? What on earth's changes for these students between the 10th and 12th grades?
Well, when we dig into the data, a few key patterns start to pop out. First, just more students in general take a foreign language in grade 12. But second, you have that huge preference shift away from Arabic and suddenly towards Persian. And through all that chaos, French and German kind of just stay steady, holding their own. And this really all comes down to a concept we can call a preference shift. See, as students move into what's called junior college for those last 2 years, their world just opens up. They might get access to different schools that offer a wider range of languages, and they start thinking more seriously about their careers. This seems to be where a language like Persian, which wasn't really an option before, suddenly becomes a very popular choice.
But wait, the story isn't over. Persian's surprise victory isn't the only mystery hiding in this data. There are a few more secrets, and some that are genuine head-scratchers.
I love this. This quote, which comes directly from the report we're looking at, just says it all. It points to a language that's supposed to exist on paper, but in reality, well, it doesn't.
So here's another puzzle for you. Chinese is officially listed as an option for 12th graders. Given how important it is on the world stage, how many students do you think actually signed up to learn it? Yep, 0. A big old goose egg. Not a single student in the entire state. It turns out that even though the curriculum says you can take Chinese, not a single school or college actually offered the class. It's a true phantom subject. And hey, remember that regional trend from earlier? Well, it holds true. Even for the older students, in Kolhapur and Konkan, they opted out of foreign languages completely. It just reinforces this really clear geographical split across the state. So, after all of this, the big upsets, the steady players, and these flat-out mysteries, what does this all really tell us? What's driving these students to pick one language over another?
It really seems to boil down to a mix of things. You've got community history and cultural heritage, which seems to explain the popularity of Arabic and Persian. Then you've got global culture, which keeps French popular. Career prospects are a big one for a practical choice like German. But the biggest factor, the one that trumps them all, as the case of Chinese showed us, it's just simple availability. At the end of the day, students can only pick from the languages their schools actually offer.
What this all shows is that the world of language learning is anything but static. It's a living, breathing landscape that's shaped by culture, by career goals, and by simple logistics. Persian's surprise victory proves that these trends can shift dramatically in just a couple of years. And it leaves us with one final thought. As things keep changing, what's going to be the next global language to make a surprise run for the top?